Hey everyone, welcome back to AsArt with Nick and John. Post 3 videos a week, so head over to AsArt.space for the audio and video links and click subscribe. So we're talking about Wonder Woman 84 today, or if you wanted to do the PR, you do WW84. We're going to be talking about that, mostly visual effects, but a little bit of story as well. So Nick, you want to give us like a...
Spoilers
Yes,
ahead.
are
We're going to be talking
definitely
about
yes.
certain visual effects shots, a little bit on story plots and everything, but overall we're probably going to be doing more of a VFX breakdown
fun stuff
of it.
to look at.
And so let's jump right into it, John.
The
first thing I noticed overall about the VFX and stuff, I don't know if it was the director's choice to do this, but it felt like there was a lot of wire work stuff going on, so they kind of felt weightless. Even that whole action sequence at the beginning, which is actually not even necessary for the story. Like, I don't know why we went back unless they had all those Amazonians.
When she was a little girl.
Yeah, I mean, like, if there was like one line I think they called back to during the movie, but like other than that, it wasn't necessary to have that flashback. But anyways, let's talk about the wire works and the effects. It felt so weightless, where it kind of reminded me of like an 80s action movie, maybe like a Superman movie from the 80s with Christopher Reeves. It's just kind of like weightless, and even with some stuff with the flying and stuff remind me a lot of a Christopher Reeves. But didn't it feel weightless to you, like gravity on the earth has changed?
Yeah, so Nick and I had talked, he watched this yesterday. I watched this just right before we recorded, and he didn't give me any story points, but he did say a couple things kind of felt a little bit weird, and the main one was there was one point we're going to talk about in a second, but the weightlessness. And really that was the thing that struck me the most. And not just weightlessness, but how weight would transfer and how it affect other things. But yeah, I mean, clearly there's a lot of wire work in this. It's probably the only way you can do this stuff without using a digital double, which they obviously did in certain shots as well. But, when they're doing wire work, you don't want to drop the person, because real gravity is still there. So they tend to set them down a little bit easier. And if you guys look back at one of our older videos, we were talking about, The Witcher. I think it's the very first video we did on The Witcher. The very first shot of the show is he's being thrown up out of this water, and he just kind of gravitates or just levitates and falls down. It's okay. They lifted him up on wires and they set him back down. It's hard to really kind of make it look real weight to it.
So there was a couple sequences. Obviously, she's superhuman and she can run super fast. I mean, not like the Flash fast, but she can run pretty fast. She got those strong legs and stuff. But when she's running by cars and stuff, like, to me, I don't know. You could totally tell she's like being pulled by a car on like a track where she's able to get the movement in and stuff, which really it kind of made me chuckle because like obviously like it just everything looks off about it. How else would you do that? I don't know, but I mean, like,
If there's scenes where it's a full digital double or it's an animated film, it tends to work a little bit better because their strides are actually moving in tune with what they're they're actually supposed to be moving on or against and things like that. The running didn't bother me quite as much because they didn't do it a huge amount. When she was around the freeway, it was a little bit funky. The scene that I thought was going to look the worst, but it went by really fast and it didn't, is right when she gets her powers back. She's running down the road or street or whatever, all upset and angry. And I think they did have a full digital, or they had so much stuff going by and they only showed her feet for a few seconds to where that didn't bother me. So that didn't strike me as much as I thought it was going to. But yeah, the chase scene on the freeway was a little bit weird for sure.
Yes.
And again, we have to.
Was weird. Yes, and also when she does her super jumps, I know she's like superhuman, and I've seen it with the Hulk too when he gets like super air. And they're jumping, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it was trying to maybe they were trying to get the Christopher Reeves kind of flying effect going on, where it just kind of felt like. You know what I mean? Like I almost like heard that music when she was like flying. I think there's even a scene where she was like hearing voices. I'm like, this is totally Superman. This is Superman. Doesn't Superman hear voices when he flies too? When he like has to change the world around or something like that?
Yeah, it does.
Or that he's like, you can't save the world. He's like, I'm gonna fly the opposite way, reverse, gravitational pull or whatever to reverse time.
And I'm sure there's a little bit of the movie where they wanted to give a few nods to that because there's certain choices they made where time going backwards, basically with the missiles and everything, where it's just like, all right, they're kind of giving nods. And when she's flying, it's kind of cool. They kind of tried to tie, I guess, those universes together as far as how does Superman fly. Okay, one of them is doing the same thing.
But what's funny? She doesn't fly in the Justice League movies.
Oh, that's right. That's
and this all takes place
later.
before
that's
the Justice
right.
League movie. So.
She forgot. She tinkered dust. She wasn't thinking happy thoughts. Yeah. But yeah, you know what? I think the biggest thing, aside from just the weightlessness that Nick was talking about, and again, this is a superhero movie. We're like, oh, it doesn't look realistic. Well, yeah, we've never seen cheetah girls or anything like that either. So it's not like we're saying this should look real, but when you don't have the gravity, kind of feeling right, it does kind of take you out.
Yeah, characters have to feel grounded still. Like even the Hulk, when he punched that big, alien ship that was coming to him, you felt the weight of the alien ship and the Hulk punch.
Yeah.
It just really makes it feel realistic and grounded in the world.
And that's actually just a kind of another throwback to what you were saying, to where what I thought when it did is in the Avengers movies and even the Edward Norton Hulk, or even the one before that, where he's running in the desert and jumping and gliding. He kind of always has a weight to him. He jumps super high, but as he jumps, he leaves a huge crater. Yeah. Then when he hits, there's a huge crater. And that was kind of what I was feeling was not there, is that, like, for instance, she uses her whip or whatever and latches onto a plane. And at the speed the plane's going, and that's latching onto the plane, I think the tail would be ripped off of that, or it would be completely.
Okay, John, come on, use your imagination there, buddy.
I know it's like you need to use your imagination, but still, it's like the effects of gravity, and then not having gravity. It's like that. That's what was kind of threw me off more than anything. Everything else that looked crazy, like she's basically has an Icarus flying suit and stuff like that. It didn't bother me at all. It was like, all right, well, I don't see that ever. Yeah. So but I do see planes flying. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, when they showed the flashback of the suit or whatever, I could have swore she was fighting the 300 army. They were they had the red capes and the circles, shields and the spear. I'm like, wait, is she fighting the 300 army? What's going on here?
It was just, and that's just regular men, huh?
Sparta.
Get back, Amazon women. This is Sparta. Yes.
Makes sense. I mean, that is a Zack Snyder film, so maybe the universe is colliding.
That's funny. I didn't even think about that. And you know what? I think this is a quick little story, but I think they did have that opening of her as a girl. I think they just wanted to bring back Robin Wright and all those actresses.
Yeah, maybe they were.
I think that's what it was.
Contract for the second movie or something.
I don't know.
They had to write them in.
I mean, they did obviously have the whole truth line that did carry through to the movie, but you could have done that else. Yeah, another way too. I don't know.
I think she does that to Aquaman. Doesn't she do something where the rope latches to Aquaman? He talks about how he's scared about fighting the guy or whatever. It was like a comedic joke.
Oh yeah,
he was telling the truth, and they used it as a way for her to defeat the boss in this one. That's cool. I mean, that's cool to use the power that way. But we got to talk about Cheetah. So this is what I think. I think the villain they had in place was perfect. I love the villain. I love that actor from The Mandalorian and Game of Thrones. I'm a huge fan of his, and I loved the villain, and I loved there wasn't a big action sequence to defeat the villain, because you know what I mean, because it's not always a test of strength, you know what I mean. It has to do with your mental and all that, your mindset. But I felt like they wanted an action sequence in this movie, so they threw Cheetah in, because she just felt like she was thrown into this movie. Even her fight just seems so pointless. I don't know. But let's talk about why maybe they did the visual effects in the dark, John. So in the past, what did they use darkness for with visual effects or nighttime?
Well, I mean, obviously it can go for a very strong feeling, but you think of movies that maybe have a lower, but if you go back even way further than visual effects, the whole noir movies and TV era was because they didn't have big budgets and they only had a few lights and they had to hide stuff. And so but it gives it a cool look. And I didn't even notice when I was watching. He was like, John, did you notice that the whole fight took place in the dark? And I thought, oh, I didn't even think about that when I was watching it, but it did.
It was really dark too. Yeah. There wasn't even lights anywhere, because I think they cut the power lines or something like that too. Or something happens where it felt like a really dark sequence. One, maybe it was to hide the cheetah effect, because maybe they weren't fully confident in it. We did have a movie come out called Cats. Yeah, we did have a movie come out called Cats that totally tanked because of the human/cat design mixture. And this is what she is basically. And even though I thought they did a much better job, it was just simple makeup. It looked like when they did the close-up shot of the face, it wasn't like she had a cat nose. It was more just a more pointed nose, and then had the makeup and stuff, which I thought looked good. But
that looked good
from what I was able to see. in the dark, you know. But I mean, it was fun to see a fight sequence. It was fun to see her power level where she was able to rip through the golden armor, which was like, so what's the point of these wings then? You know?
Yeah, I was like, boy, they stopped all of mankind, but don't stop the cheetah. You know, but it's like she wanted to be one of a kind, or the world had never seen it. So the dark stuff didn't bother me. One, I was in the moment of just watching the movie. I didn't even think about that. But two, it's like, you know what? And Nick's going to talk about the Marvel movies a little bit. I think we had talked about this briefly before, but it's like sometimes not seeing everything is great. And sometimes just being able to try and infer what's going on, or just think it in your head, and you know, in between. And the biggest thing I thought about this movie when I was watching is, you know what, I bet this whole concept, a lot of things going on, made for a perfect comic book, you know, the wishes and all this stuff, because in between the panels you're making up the motion, you're making up what you don't see in the comic book. I felt like it was a little bit rough as far as believability for a movie, but then again, we wanted a blockbuster movie, and this is like a blockbuster type movie if there ever was one. So but the only thing that really I think saved this as far as there's some type of suspense is they figured out a way through, you know, comic resources and history, is that, okay, there's a way we can make her vulnerable, because she doesn't really have kryptonite or anything. So it's like, how do we make her vulnerable to where she could be hurt? Now, she only got a few nicks and stuff, so you never really felt like in grave danger for her or anything, but she had a weakness in this one, which she didn't really have in the first one, aside from not knowing what's going on. So in that regard, that worked for it, you know. And you're right. I think it was a really cool idea that there's not a huge boss battle as far as the main bad guy. It's just like,
it doesn't have to be a big visual effects action sequence. I mean, they added Cheetah in, so they had sort of that, but you know what I mean? But the main villain wasn't like, you know, Thanos and everyone's punching and shooting big laser beams and stuff. Like, it was just more like dude, you have to let go because you're destroying the world. And then his son, you know what I mean? It was just like a cool, and that actor's so good. He does such a good job with his emotional, and like, I can't wait to see him in more. Please cast him in more stuff. Like, I love this guy.
he's blown up. He's huge now. But you know what? I mean, the movie and classic, you know, kind of along the lines of what Disney's been doing, they do beat you over the head with a lot of feel-good world stuff. Oh, set aside our difference, blah, blah, blah. Like, that was a little heavy-handed, you know, in both with the villain and just the whole worldview and stuff and all the missiles and things like that. But I was just like, you know, it worked just fine. Yeah. But as far as effects, like, it was really fun. There's certain stuff, like, that I was like, oh, I don't think that's like top notch stuff that they've done in other movies. But at the same time, it's like, boy, like, we haven't gotten a new release with a budget like that in a while. Yeah. So it was kind of cool to see this actually. I forgot, was this finished before COVID hit? Or
I think so. They were just holding on to it.
Yeah, so it was all finished up. But yeah, so it's cool this actually came out and we actually got a new release.
I know. It's been like 6 months after all the toys were released.
Oh, really? Did they release them that long ago?
Yeah, so like they released all the toys and stuff. Like, everything was on schedule, but they postponed the movie. So we've been having like the cool like golden uniform, or not uniform, outfit and stuff. But yeah,
that's crazy.
I'm happy. Thank you, HBO Max, for making it possible for us to be able to watch a movie during these times on Christmas. So,
and we would have continued to have not gotten new releases if they were holding out for theaters. So it's kind of cool. I mean, do you think, I'm just curious as a side note, do you think they said it's coming to theaters and HBO Max just so it's eligible for awards when, you know, the Academy Awards come around again, or do you think it's just like, oh yeah? I don't know how many people.
I don't know what's going to happen anyways in the future with the Academy Awards stuff, but that's a topic for another time. Subscribe so you can hear that topic. And by the way, if you like Wonder Woman, we probably put it in the tags already. We had some fun deep fakes with Wonder Woman crossing over with the boys. We have Queen Maeve and Gal Gadot, a little crossover. It's awesome. Check it out, guys.
Yeah, pretty fun stuff. Hey, guys, so check out AsArt.space for the audio video links. Let us know, did you feel like this was worth it? Did you like it more than the first one? Was it let down? Whatever it is, let us know. And we'll see you on the next AsArt.